All right, I want to talk to you about the backswing and what you're trying to do as you initiate this motion. There's a lot of times that I get questions about, Michael, what starts the backswing? How do you get this initiated? What's the things that are going on right when you get... There's so many different thoughts that you've got going on in your mind. And the more thoughts you have, the harder it is to get going. The more thoughts you have, the less you're seeing, less you're visualizing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what you're trying to do when you get going. The first thing is having what I think helps, very beneficial to people, is just having a little, just a little like forward press. There's a little bit of a forward press here. Now, what are the styles of forward press that takes place? Well, one style of a forward press is where your hands they just bump towards the target, so they go boom and then back. Okay, that's a nice little forward press. There's a forward press that's a little bit of an older forward press, a press that was used many, many years ago. You see this with Gary Player, Arnold Palmer, maybe Ben Hogan, and that is the trail knee. And the trail knee would go in and then go back. So in here like this, and you bump that knee forward like this. So in here like this, look up, knee, boom, and then boom. Okay, so that's another forward press that works really well. I got a good friend of mine who starts it not with a forward press, but it's actually a little move in the knees. And what they do is they get ready to hit, and then all they do is they just drop their knees down a little bit. So if you go to a down the line shot, we go into this, I move this club out of the way, and all of a sudden there's this set that goes boom like this, and then they go. So it's not a forward press, but we'll just call it a forward press. They get in here, they're ready to hit the shot, settle in, and then they go. And there's just a little bit of a downward set that sit down like that. Now, it's not enormous, and none of these things that get going or that get the club in motion, get the body in motion, are big, huge, exaggerated motions. Jack Nicklaus, what he would do is he would turn his head. So he gets in here and he goes, and that's a very curious thing to me, because what it does is it allows for a greater back turn. You kind of take your head and you turn it this way, and now it opens up a lot of movement for the upper body. So that's a very successful thought to get it started. But here's the thing. You got to find yours. And the way you find it is it will create a rhythm for you. And there will be, you'll know right away. So what I like to do is, believe it or not, I like to bounce the club. So I'll get in here like this. I go through my stuff. And then I'm just going to, and I'm kind of bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and then boom. And what I find is that it's easier for me to move when I'm in motion. So I like and it doesn't mean that I don't like the forward press of the hands. I've used that many times. But I like the idea of I'm always in motion before I'm in motion. So I'm looking, I'm waggling, I'm moving my feet, and then I'll get in here and I'll just kind of get going that way. So I'm kind of feeling my body, and it's moving, and then it's bouncing around. So find something that is a pre-motion motion. Doesn't matter to me what it is that you do. Now, the other thing that I want to talk to you about, and I think that many people also have this debate of, should the club be going fast in the backswing? Should the club be going slow in the backswing? I'm one of those individuals that I don't like speed in the backswing. I don't think speed in the backswing works. It doesn't mean I want it to be really slow. It just means I don't want it to be extremely fast either. And what I like to do when I'm working on creating the right speed is I like to use this second golf ball. And I've got, if you back out of that just a little bit, Gibbsy, what you'll see is that I've put a golf bag back there, right? So that golf bag's back about 6 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this golf ball, put the club in here, and then I'm going to move this back so that it goes about to that bag. You can see that again. I'll do it again. Now, this is going to go back to that bag. So a little short. And believe it or not, you practice this. I know it sounds nuts, but you got to practice this because the speed with which you move this is the club head is the speed with which you move the golf ball. So if you're taking this club away quickly, this ball's going to go well past that bag. If I take it away too slowly, it's not going to get anywhere near the bag. So what I like to do is again, I told you about 6 feet on this particular mat. It may be different for you if you're practicing on the grass. But what you want to do is you want to find the speed with which you're moving back the club, and then find out how consistent you are. And you can, if you're on grass, you can use a tee. But all you're doing is you're setting this into here. You move this club back at that speed, and then you let it go. Now, I hit a good shot, solid shot, and the golf ball moved back just a little shy of that bag. And what you do is you just keep experimenting with what's the right speed, what's the right tempo for you. Not something that you can do with a driver because obviously the ball is on that tee. And when you start using the driver, the ball can get underneath it a little bit because that club is built with it's got a little lift from the tail, the wing. But the iron you can. And so what I like to do is now when I get into this shot, I like to feel that other golf ball behind that club. And now all I'm going to do is move that. I can almost feel the club moving backwards. I can almost feel the ball moving that club. Obviously, that was a shot that I liked. And the speed with which you move this club in the backswing is going to be, I shouldn't even say that. The consistency with which you move this club in the backswing for speed is going to be the thing that allows you to have consistency in your transition. We've talked to you before about the importance of transition. We start talking now about initiation. And then that initiation is, well, how fast is this going? Because it will affect how consistent the transition is and the speed of that transition. I don't like a fast transition. So we're in here like this. I imagine that ball back there. And now it sets the tempo of my entire motion. So now what we got to do is we got to put these two things together. So what we got to do is we got to get our pre-swing, our whatever it is that we're going to do to bump us into motion, whatever it is that you want to do. I'm going to take my friend's sit-down position and do that. And then you're going to marry that with this movement of the club going back there. Okay? So get in here like this. So a little set into that. I kind of liked that one, but I kind of lost my rhythm on that one. So probably not the one that I'm going to do. So now on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do a forward press. So I'm going to get in here like this. Same thing, pick up my target. Now, club's on the ground. Now I forward press. Now, what happens when I do the forward press, for me personally, is for some reason, I don't know why, I tilt my head. And when I tilt my head, it kind of throws things off for me. So I'm not a big fan of that forward press, which is how I ended up with the little bouncing and the bumping thing. So when I get in here and I do this, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to kind of pop that down. And now my rhythm is much better. My follow-through is much better. My strike is much better. That was my fastest ball speed and the fastest or the farthest shot that I hit. That's because it's familiar to me. And so what I would say to you is that, okay, spend some time figuring out the one that's right for you. And then also, too, marry that up with getting this golf club to move slow enough to not affect your transition and trust what you're doing with the speed. Find the speed. Because I don't want it to be too slow, but I want to be slow enough to where I find transition, okay? If it's too fast or it's too slow, you're going to struggle. So here we go. This is all of it together. So I got my target, little cut, There's a little bouncing of that into that. Did the ball? Here we go. Let's get over there. Let's get over there. Lean right. Oh, yes. It happened. Come on. What do the hockey players do? They're like, I don't know what it is. But anyway, here's what I want you to do. I want you to find this move that's going to throw the ball. I'm going to call it a move, okay? Find the move. Is it a drop here? Is it a knee there? Is it a hand here? Is it a bumping there? Is it a twist of the head? Whatever it is, okay? There'll be something that's going to help get this club into motion. And then the other thing you want to do is you want to look at and work on the speed with which that golf club is moving away. If I'm too fast with my hands, if I set the club too soon like this, that thing is going to go flying back. If I drag my handle and I don't move the head, now all of a sudden that club is not going to move necessarily the way that I want. There's also direction in that. Am I moving it back to the inside and the thing is going that way? Go down the line if you would, Gibbsy. If I take the club and I put this here and I lift my arms up and I go like that, I can move that golf ball away from that target. So what I want to do is I want to make sure, okay, where do I want to move the club? And then where am I going to put my tee or my bag or whatever so that the ball moves in the direction that I want? Well, I want it to go straight back. That's for me. That's for my shot shape. So I'm feeling that bag going straight back 6 feet. Imagine that golf ball, get my little bounce in here, move it back to that bag, and then I move that club through and I hit the shot. You've got to spend some time figuring out how it works for you. And when you find that what works for you, now you're going to be ready for a nice transition and a really smooth, consistent motion that's going to help you improve your game. We'll continue to talk about some other backswing thoughts at another time, but get good at these two things, and you're going to definitely improve your game.